I found my wife in her lover's arms, her eyes full of shock when I came home unexpectedly to grab my USB for an important presentation. She begged me to believe it was just a mistake. My name is Nathan, and this is how a work presentation that I almost missed ended up saving me from a marriage built on deceit. When I met Carla, she had just gotten out of what she later described as a complicated relationship. Her ex had been controlling and emotionally abusive, the kind of man who made her doubt her own judgment and worth. He had isolated her from her friends, criticized her professional goals, and made her feel that she was not capable of making good decisions about her own life. The relationship had lasted almost 3 years, and by the time Carla finally found the strength to leave him, she was emotionally exhausted and deeply distrustful of men's motives. She had temporarily moved back in with her parents while she rebuilt her graphic design business. She was trying to rebuild her confidence. When we started talking, I could tell that Carla's mind was completely closed to the idea of getting involved with someone new. She had put up walls that seemed impossible to break down, and every interaction felt as if she were waiting for me to reveal some hidden agenda or controlling behavior. When I asked for her number after our first conversation, Carla said she was not interested in dating anyone and that she needed to focus on herself. When I suggested we meet again for coffee as friends, she explained that she was still recovering from her past relationship and did not want any complications in her life. But something about Carla made me want to show her that not all men were like her ex. I was not pushy or aggressive in trying to win her over. I simply demonstrated to her consistently with my actions that I was different from what she had experienced before. I would stop by a coffee shop she used to frequent when I knew she would be there, asking her about her work projects without expecting anything in return. Although she remained on guard, she would talk to me. I would listen when Carla talked about her difficulties in rebuilding her business and dealing with difficult clients, offering her encouragement, without trying to solve her problems or give her unsolicited advice. I made it clear that I respected her independence and had no interest in controlling or changing her. She gave me her number, and we kept in touch. Little by little, over several months, Carla began to see the good in me and started to accept that I was not in her life to hurt her as her ex had done. She began to open up about her past, sharing stories about her childhood, her dreams for her design business, and her fears of trusting someone again. The walls that Carla had built around her heart began to crumble piece by piece as she realized that I was genuinely interested in getting to know her as a person, not in molding her into what I wanted her to be. She began to believe that I cared about her happiness and her success instead of just what she could do for me. Soon we started dating after Carla finally opened up to me completely. It took a few months of patient friendship before she was ready to give our relationship a real chance. But the wait was totally worth it. When she finally let me in emotionally, I felt as if I had won the lottery. Carla was everything I wanted in a woman. Intelligent, creative, independent, and beautiful in a way that left me breathless every time I looked at her. She worked hard, and I admired her determination, talent, and resilience after everything she had been through. I believed I was her type too, based on how she talked about our future with genuine emotion and hope. Carla would tell me that I made her feel safe and valued in ways she had never experienced before, and that our relationship had shown her what healthy love was really like. After a year of dating and getting to know each other deeply, with the blessing and encouragement of our parents, we got married in a small ceremony. The moment felt perfect, not too rushed, nor so long as to be simply going through the motions of a relationship that had already run its course. Carla had clearly healed from the trauma of her past relationship and was ready to build something real with someone she could completely trust. I was ready to commit my life to someone I thought shared my values on loyalty, honesty, and partnership in marriage. To me, Carla was my unconditional partner. She was the person with whom I wanted to share everything. The good news from work, the bad days when nothing went right, the random thoughts that occurred to me, and the big dreams about our future together. I could not imagine my life without her, and I really thought she felt the same way about me. I managed to balance my job as a marketing analyst with coming home on time to be with Carla every evening. I was good at my job and respected by my colleagues, but I never let work take priority over my marriage. I was home by 6 in the evening most nights, and we would cook dinner together, watch movies, and talk about our days. During the first 3 years of our marriage, everything seemed ideal. We had our routines and plans to start a family in a few years. For me, What we were building was destined to last forever. Then came a Tuesday afternoon that completely shattered my world and showed me who my wife really was. That day began normally. I was in the middle of preparing an important presentation for potential clients that afternoon, a project that could generate significant revenue for our company. I had spent weeks preparing the proposal, creating detailed charts and projections that I had saved on my personal flash drive. Around 1 in the afternoon, as I was getting ready to go to the conference room for the 3 o'clock meeting, I realized that my flash drive was not in my laptop case, where I always kept it. I checked my desk drawers, my briefcase, and every pocket of my jacket, but it was nowhere in my office. Then I remembered that I had been working on the presentation at home the night before, making some last-minute adjustments. I must have left the flash drive connected to my home office computer when I went to bed. I did not think it was necessary to call Carla to let her know I was coming home, as I would not be there for long. My plan was simple: drive home, get the flash drive from my computer, and return to the office in time for the meeting. The entire trip should take about 40 minutes, and I would be back with plenty of time before the meeting. I got in my car and drove the familiar route to our house, thinking about the presentation and hoping the clients would be interested in our proposal. I was not worried about anything other than making sure I had all my materials ready and that the meeting went smoothly. When I turned onto our street, I saw a car I did not recognize parked right in front of our house. It was a black SUV that definitely did not belong to anyone I knew. Instead of pulling into our driveway as I normally would, I parked a little further down the street, wondering who might be visiting Carla. I walked to our front door, taking the keys out of my pocket and thinking of nothing more than the possibility that Carla had someone over for lunch. Sometimes she received people during the day for work meetings or social visits. I opened the front door, entered our living room, and immediately saw something that brought my world to a complete stop. At first, my brain did not understand it. Carla was kissing a man I had never seen on our couch, with their clothes scattered on the floor in different directions. I stood there frozen, trying to process what I was seeing. This was not a business meeting or a friendly visit. My wife was having an affair with a stranger in our house, on the furniture we had chosen together, in the space where we had built our life as a married couple. I was heartbroken, devastated, and completely unable to believe what was happening in front of me. The woman I had spent months convincing to trust me, with whom I had married and promised to love forever, was betraying everything we had built together with someone I had not even seen before. When Carla and her lover finally realized I was standing there, they separated abruptly and jumped off the couch. The man began to hastily look for his shirt to put it on while Carla grabbed her clothes and tried to cover herself. Both seemed surprised and terrified at being discovered. Carla immediately began to plead that it was all a mistake, that she had not planned for this to happen, and that she could explain everything if I just gave her a chance. But I could not say anything in response. I felt my throat close up and my mind was completely blank, except for the image of what I had just witnessed. I went straight to my home office while Carla followed me, probably not knowing what I planned to do. I disconnected the flash drive from my computer, put it in my pocket, and left the house towards my car without saying a single word to either of them. For the rest of that day at the office, I was not myself at all. I felt as if I were moving through a thick fog, trying to function normally, while my mind kept replaying the scene I had encountered. Every time I closed my eyes, I could see Carla kissing that stranger on our couch. I managed not to mess up the presentation with my emotional state, but it was obvious to everyone in the room that something was wrong with me. I got through the meeting on autopilot, answering questions and showing the charts I had prepared, but my heart was not in it. My boss was in the meeting and kept giving me worried glances throughout the presentation. I was afraid he would confront me later about my performance or ask me what was distracting me, but he said nothing when the clients left the conference room. When it was time to leave, which I normally did around 6 in the evening so I could get home to Carla, I could not find the strength to leave the office. Instead of packing my things and heading home, I continued working on tasks that I would normally leave for the next day. I was checking emails, organizing files, and working on projects that were not urgent. Anything to avoid having to go home and face Carla and whatever conversation awaited me there. Although I could not concentrate on anything properly, I forced myself to stay busy. I did not realize how late it had gotten until my boss passed by my desk as he was leaving. Most of the office was already empty, and I was still sitting there staring at my computer screen, going over the same task again and again without accomplishing anything significant. He looked at me with genuine concern and said, "Nathan, come with me." He did not ask me if I wanted to leave or if I had plans. He just told me to pack my things and follow him. I turned off my computer, grabbed my jacket, and went out with him to the parking lot. We got into our separate cars, and he took me to a quiet bar about 10 minutes from our office. It was the kind of place where you could have a real conversation without being interrupted by loud music or crowds of people. We found a table in a back corner and ordered drinks. My boss looked at me from across the table and asked me directly what was wrong with me, because he noticed that my behavior had completely changed from how it was in the morning, something totally different in the afternoon. He said it was obvious that something significant had happened and that he wanted to know if there was anything he could do to help. I completely broke down and told him everything. How I had gone home for my flash drive and had found my wife Carla with another man. How they had been kissing on our couch with their clothes scattered around, and how she had pleaded that it was all a mistake when I discovered them. I explained how much I loved Carla and how I had taken care of her throughout our relationship, how I had spent months convincing her to trust me after her abusive ex, and how I thought we had something real and permanent. The betrayal felt as if it were destroying everything I believed about our marriage and my judgment of people. My boss listened to everything I said without interrupting me or trying to offer quick solutions. He just let me vent all my pain and confusion while he sat there patiently, nodding from time to time to show that he was following what I was telling him. When I finished explaining the whole situation and had gotten all my emotions out, he asked me what I planned to do next. Did I want to try to fix things with Carla? Was I thinking about divorce? Had I decided anything about how to handle this situation? I was surprised by how direct the question was. I told him honestly that I did not know what to do. I felt completely lost and could not think clearly about anything beyond the image of finding my wife with another man. I had not been able to process the situation enough to make decisions about my marriage or my future. My boss reminded me that no matter what happened with Carla or how this situation was resolved, I was the one in charge of my own life. I could let what I had seen completely destroy me and define my future, or I could decide the next course of action and stand firm no matter how difficult it might be. Then he told me about his own experience with betrayal. He said he had not been married in his situation, but there had been a woman to whom he was completely dedicated and who had also cheated on him. He had planned to propose to her and had thought they were building a future together with marriage and family. When I asked him if that betrayal was the reason he had never officially married, he nodded and said yes. He explained that he had never been able to get over that betrayal and that since then he had never trusted anyone enough to make that kind of commitment again. However, my boss told me that he was not asking me to be like him or to make the same decisions he had made, but he wanted me to understand that the power to move on with my life or get stuck in this painful place was completely in my hands. I could choose to let this define me, or I could choose to take control and decide what came next. We stayed there for another hour, having a few drinks and talking about life, relationships, and the difficulty of trusting people when they have shown you they are capable of betraying that trust. He shared more about his own experience and how it had shaped his approach to relationships over the years. When we finally ended the night and went to our separate cars, I felt grateful to have a boss who cared enough about me as a person to spend his evening helping me process one of the worst days of my life. His perspective and his advice had given me some clarity on my situation. When I got home that night, Carla was waiting for me in the living room with a prepared speech about how the affair had been a mistake, how it had been an unplanned situation that got out of hand, and how she wanted to work on our marriage and rebuild my trust. She explained that the man I had caught her with was a personal trainer from her gym who had been helping her with her fitness goals. According to Carla, they developed a friendship that had gradually become inappropriate. And that afternoon was the first time anything physical had happened between them. Carla insisted that she loved me and did not want to lose our marriage over what she called a moment of weakness and poor judgment. She said she was willing to do whatever it took to repair the damage and prove that she was committed to being faithful in the future. But I had absolutely nothing to say to her in response. I could not find any words that seemed appropriate for the situation, and I did not trust myself to speak without saying things that would make the situation even worse. From that night on, and for the following days, I completely ignored Carla while I contacted a divorce lawyer and started the legal process. I did not respond to her attempts at conversation. I did not acknowledge her apologies or explanations, and I did not participate in her efforts to discuss our future. I slept in the guest room. I left for work early, came home late, and generally acted as if Carla no longer existed in my life. Because to be honest, she no longer did. I needed time to process what had happened and make decisions about my marriage without being influenced by her emotional pleas or promises of change. The divorce case finally went to court, and we were legally divorced within a few months. The process was relatively simple, as we had no children together and had not accumulated many significant assets during our short marriage. Carla did not contest the divorce or try to drag out the proceedings. Throughout the entire legal process, I felt that there was absolutely no way I could forgive Carla for having an intimate relationship with another man in our house, on our furniture, in the space where we had built our life together. The betrayal felt too fundamental and too disrespectful to overcome. The image of seeing Carla with another man on our couch constantly haunted me until the divorce was completed and I could start to move on with my life. I could not stop thinking about how long the affair had lasted, how many times they had been together in our house, and how naive I had been about what was happening. Looking back now, I still believe in love and in the possibility of finding someone trustworthy with whom to build a life. But I will never again be with a woman who cheats on me in my own house and then claims it was just a mistake that meant nothing. My boss's advice that night at the bar probably saved me from making the mistake of trying to reconcile with someone who had shown me exactly who she was when she thought I would not find out. Some betrayals are too fundamental to forgive, and some people show you with their actions that they are not worthy of your trust. I am grateful for that forgotten flash drive, as strange as it sounds. If I had not needed to go home that afternoon, I could have continued living in a marriage based on lies for months or years more. Sometimes the worst day of your life is also the day that saves you from wasting more time with the wrong person. The whole experience taught me that actions reveal character in a way that words never can. Carla could apologize and make promises to change, but what she did that afternoon showed me who she really was when she thought no one was watching. That is the person I would have been married to, not the person she pretended to be when I was around. Today I am rebuilding my life with a much clearer understanding of what I will and will not accept in a relationship. I am not bitter or closed off to love, but I am definitely more careful about trusting people and more aware of the red flags that I might have ignored before. My boss and I still work together, and from time to time we have a drink after work and talk about life. He has become more than just my boss. He is a mentor and a friend who helped me get through one of the most difficult periods of my life. I will always be grateful for his wisdom and support during those dark days. The lesson I learned is simple. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Carla showed me that she was capable of betraying the person who loved her most in the place that was supposed to be sacred to our marriage. That told me everything I needed to know about our future together. Sometimes the best thing that can happen to you is to discover the truth about someone before you waste more years building a life with that person. My marriage to Carla was short, but it taught me valuable lessons about trust, respect, and the importance of choosing partners who share your values on loyalty and commitment. I am in a better place now than during those confusing months when I was trying to make sense of Carla's betrayal. Time and distance have given me perspective on the situation and the confidence that I made the right decision by ending things quickly instead of trying to rebuild a trust that had been fundamentally broken. The flash drive incident changed my life in ways I could have never predicted, but ultimately it led me away from a marriage built on deceit and guided me towards a future where I can find someone who truly deserves the love and commitment I have to offer.